Assalamualaikum. Today my friends and I going to do discussion for the topic constitution. Before we know what is constitution, I will explain first why we need a constitution. First of all, we need constitution to achieve the fundamental things that we need as human beings, such as a voice in discussion that affects our life. We also deserve a protection and security from any discrimination and violence. We also need material well-being, such as a shelter, food, and education. We also deserve a respect and recognition as an individual and a community. Second, we need a constitution to limit the power that can lead to the corruption, oppression, and dictatorship. We need constitution to comprise a body of rule regulating the way in which organization and institution operate. So, constitution will establish the organ in the government, detail the allocation of powers, so no any organization or institution feel they are superior than others. They also provide the resolution of dispute, provide for the amendment of the constitution, detail the fundamental things, and specify the protection for minority groups. Constitution concerned with function discharged by the organs of government, distribution of power between the organs, law-making process, relationship of individual in the state, in terms of state interfere with individual rights and freedom, and also protection of the state can affect to its citizen. This is why we have state constitution and federal constitution.
There are many types of constitution, and two of them are written and unwritten constitution. So, what are the differences between these two? Let's see it. First, written constitution. As you can see, written constitution is a single document containing the most fundamental constitutional rules, or we can call it as basis. In addition, this constitution is codified and compiled in a structured and logical manner and present in writing, so people can easily refer to it when needed. Next, enacted in any constitution or legislation and enacted on specific date by a particular body, and it is rigid, flexible, or the combination thereof. Constitution is considered as supreme in case of a written constitution. Other than that, the powers of judiciary possess outspread powers and distributed between central and state government. There are many countries that apply this type of constitution, which are India, USA, Japan, Canada, Sri Lanka, Germany, Switzerland, and etc. Next, unwritten constitution. It means a constitution not embodied in a single document but based chiefly on custom and precedent as expressed in statutes and judicial decisions. Not to mention, it is easy to add a new law or update the existing one. It is also not incorporated in a series of documents as a book, as well laws are not formally enacted on a specific date and not contained in any statutes and can be found in case decisions. Besides, it evolves gradually as well as it is updated with a passage of time. In this constitution, Parliament is considered as supreme. The powers of the judiciary are limited in the case of unwritten law, and their powers are unitary or they are centralized. There are countries that apply this constitution are United Kingdom, New Zealand, Israel, and etc. For a better understanding, you may refer to this comparison chart. So, as you can see, it shows about the differences about written and unwritten constitution by its meaning, nature, the types either it is rigid or flexible, the supremacy, the judiciary, the powers that control the constitution, and where it prevalent in. That's all from me.
Okay, so I'm going to explain to you guys about rigid constitution and flexible constitution. Before I explain about the differences between these two, I'm going to explain to you guys what is rigid constitution and flexible constitution. Okay, so rigid constitution, these constitutions are difficult to amend or change. Special procedures and conditions are required for such constitution to be amended. Since normal procedure for passing an ordinary law is not sufficient. I should let you know that these procedures or conditions vary from one country to the other and are usually stated in the constitution itself. In general, federal political systems like United States, Switzerland, Canada, India, Australia, and Nigeria have rigid constitution. For flexible constitution, this constitution is easy to amend through an ordinary law-making process. In other words, a flexible constitution can be changed without any lengthy or difficult process to revise it. Examples of countries with flexible constitution include the New Zealand, Finland, Britain, and Ghana in the First Republic. Okay? So I'm going to explain to you guys about the differences between these two. Okay, what's the differences between rigid and flexible constitution? Rigid constitution are mostly written and very difficult to amend, while flexible constitution may be written or unwritten and it is easy to amend, just like what I said previously. And next, the procedure for amendments of a rigid constitution is a complicated method, while the amendment of flexible constitution can easily be done by a simple majority in the legislature. Thirdly, the provision of rigid constitution cannot be easily manipulated because there is a procedure legally laid down for its amendments. The provisions of the flexible constitution, on the other hand, can easily be manipulated by a powerful leader. For example for rigid constitution in the United States have only been 26 amendments since its adoption in 1787. This shows that United States actually have the rigid constitution. For the example of flexible constitution, Swiss constitution, whose amendment requires special procedure, has often been amended. So this shows that Swiss constitution used the flexible constitution. So I think that's all from me. So we're going to move for the next presenter.
So next I will talk about federal vs unitary. First, a constitution can be either federal or unitary. A unitary is a system as one single unit. But in the federal, there is a division of powers between the federal and the state governments. Here are some differences between the federal and unitary. Okay, first, for the federal, their system has multiple hierarchy levels, with both the central authority and the states both being sovereign, and the central or national rules override the state rules. And there also a balance between the levels of government. Power and responsibilities are shared between national and local levels. For unitary, first, there is no hierarchy of sovereign powers. Other than that, states have no authority to pass their own laws, and the central or national government can order the states to do anything. Then, the federal has a huge percentage of power. For example, Japan and Saudi Arabia. Last but not least, power is placed in one central governing system. That's all for me. Thank you.
We continue with the supremacy of the constitution. Basically, a country has their own federal constitution that made based on their unique history, and the federal constitution is the supreme law of the federation. This is the highest law of a country, and this is used as a fundamental law of the land. And we use the federal constitution as a yardstick with which to measure the validity of all others law, and any of law that inconsistent, that not in the line with the federal constitution, it can be challenged in the court. And of course, it's difficult to change federal constitution than the ordinary law, and the Of course, if someone want to amend the federal constitution, it will through a long process, a long procedure, and take a long period. And this thing make someone who in power cannot make up rule just like how they want. And for example, we can see when a democratic government is illegally overthrown, the first thing that they could really do is destroying the constitution. Because of what? Because they don't want any inconvenient limit on their ability to rule by force. And if someone want to if someone that in charge make the federal constitution, they should take special care in designing the process. Because of what? Because it will affect how well the country function, because it will lead to quality of life of the citizen of a country. Thank you.